All right, let's talk about one of the most maddening, most brilliant, and most frustrating logical traps out there, the Catch-22. It's a concept that feels like it was designed by a committee of villains, but once you understand it, you'll start seeing it everywhere.
And let's start with the classic, right? I'm sure you've run into this one. It feels like you're on a hamster wheel. You can't get on the ladder without being on the first rung, but you can't get on the first rung without already being on the ladder. It's this perfect closed loop, and it's incredibly frustrating. So this kind of frustrating loop isn't just, a tough break. It actually has a name. This is a perfect real-world example of a catch-22. But what does that term really mean, and where did it even come from?
Okay, so here's the core of it. A catch-22 is a paradox that's built right into the rules of the game. You're trapped, not because you don't have options, but because the very rules you have to follow make it impossible for you to win. It's like the escape hatch is locked and the key is inside the locked room. To really get the sheer, genius of this logic, we have to go back to where it all started. We're talking about Joseph Heller's amazing 1961 novel, Catch-22, which was set way back in World War II. So in the book, you've got this bombardier, Yossarian, and he is terrified. He's desperate to stop flying these incredibly dangerous combat missions. He figures his only way out is to get the flight surgeon, Dr. Nika, to declare him insane. But when he tries, he runs headfirst into the beautiful, twisted logic of Catch-22.
And there it is. It's just perfect, isn't it? Think about it. Being worried about your own safety when you're in constant danger, that's a sign of a perfectly rational mind. So the very act of asking to be grounded proves that Yossarian is sane. And if he's sane, he has to fly. It is a flawless, inescapable trap. Okay, so you might be thinking, isn't that just a dilemma, like a rock in a hard place? Well, not exactly. And the difference between the two is actually pretty important. The absolute key difference here, and this is what makes it so fascinating, is choice. In a dilemma, you have to make a choice. Even if both options are terrible, you still have some control. But a catch-22 is different. The rules of the situation are set up specifically to take your choice away. The system itself is designed to make the decision for you. You have no move to make. But here's where it gets really mind-bending. What if this whole thing, this seemingly ridiculous, bureaucratic trap, isn't absurd at all? What if, from a certain point of view, it makes perfect, cold, hard sense? Believe it or not, some economists actually modeled this whole literary paradox using game theory. They wanted to figure out why a rule like this would ever exist, and what they discovered is that for the person in charge, a catch-22 can be an incredibly powerful and efficient tool. So let's reframe this as a game. You've got two players. On one side, there's the gatekeeper. In the book, that's the army. And the gatekeeper needs to make a decision. On the other side is the requester, or pilot, Yossarian. And the requester has a secret piece of information, whether he's truly sane or insane. The gatekeeper's goal is pretty simple. Keep the sane pilots in the air and get the insane ones out. The problem? They can't read minds. So what do? They create a clever rule that forces the pilots to reveal their own sanity. And here's the kicker. If the gatekeeper thinks the odds of a pilot actually being insane are really low, it's way more efficient for them to just deny every single request than to even risk grounding one healthy, sane pilot. So get this. The paradox isn't a mistake in the system. It's a feature. From the gatekeeper's perspective, it's this brutally efficient filter. The cruelty of it, the fact that it feels so illogical to the person trapped inside, that's actually the point. It's designed to be inescapable for the very people the gatekeeper wants to control. Okay, so let's bring it back to our job hunting problem. If that no experience, no job paradox is actually a rational system from the employer's side, how in the world does anyone ever break out of it? Well, the answer isn't to fight the rule. It's to make the rule totally irrelevant. You have to stop playing the gatekeeper's game. You have to go around the system. The trick is to build that experience on your own terms. We're talking courses, internships, volunteering, starting your own projects, anything that lets you build your skills, and more importantly, create proof of your ability without ever having to ask for permission.
And this quote just hits the nail on the head. At the end of the day, the goal isn't just to have a line on your resume that says 2 years of experience. The real goal is to prove you can actually do the work. Once you can demonstrate that with a portfolio, a certification, or a project you built yourself, you make the Catch-22 completely pointless. You've bypassed it. And that kind of leaves us with one last big idea. The logic of a catch-22 feels so absolute when you're stuck inside of it. But once you understand how the system works, whether it's in a bureaucracy or a job market, you can almost always find a way to just step outside the game entirely and forge your own path. So, what loops in your life are you ready to break?